We live in a world where social media, family, work, even everyday life can leave us feeling filtered. But when the mics turn on, the unfiltered truth comes alive. We share stories, real struggles, and real laughs as three women navigating life's messy but beautiful moments together, one conversation at a time. Hi, welcome to the chat, Life Unfiltered. I'm your host, Grace. Today we're exploring what love looks like through different lenses. Love is messy, but love is also beautiful, but there's no two stories exactly the same. This week on the chat, we're diving into relationships from every angle. Married, divorced, and never been married, choosing to be single. We'll have some laughs, I'm sure, but we're also going to explore the hard truth about relationships and uncover lessons that can connect us all, from heartbreak to healing, noticing those red flags, and also possibly finding our soulmate. We explore what love has taught us and what it takes to build or rebuild a healthy relationship. Today, we're joined by our friend John, a native New Yorker who now lives in sunny Florida. He's a nurse with a loving heart and a great sense of humor, and someone who brings so much light to every conversation, especially the ones about love, family, and how important it is to be true to yourself. So let's join him now, along with my co-hosts, Gina and Pam. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Hi, ladies. Welcome, John.
Hi, how is everyone?
We're so excited to have you with us tonight. How's
I'm
everybody
excited
feeling?
to be invited. Thank you so much.
We couldn't think of a better guest for the topic we have tonight, which is relationships. So when we think of romantic relationships, the first word that pops into our head would be love. So what do you think of when you hear the word love?
That love alone isn't enough. We need
Okay.
more.
I think of rainbows and unicorns.
I love
do.
that. Okay.
I love it.
Gina?
I think of forgiveness.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one, Gina.
Thank you.
My word was trust, because I feel when I think of the word love, that encompasses everything we are about when we're in any kind of relationship. And if we don't have any kind of trust with that person, I don't think that word applies. So to me, they're like almost one and the same, love and trust.
And loyalty.
Yes, absolutely. They all go hand in hand.
And that's why I said love isn't, itself enough.
Right, because it's all those things.
And that was my belief. If you love, that's good enough.
But do you think trust, loyalty, all the words that we said, forgiveness, are part of love? Right?
Absolutely.
And they're non-negotiable. They have to be in a relationship, or the relationship will collapse, regardless of how much you love that person.
I agree.
I agree with that totally.
Yep.
So we have a lot of topics to dive into. Does anybody have a lighthearted story they want to tell about a relationship they were in, or a funny story that just comes to mind when you think of love?
I think John does.
No, I'm thinking of something good.
My story was funny at the time, but turned out to be true. When I did not know Anthony, he knew my family. He knew my cousin. He knew my aunt. And he walked into her house and she's like, "Hey, I got a lot of nieces. You want to, you interested in any?" He's like, "Nah, I'm not the type of guy to settle down and get married." And then he picked up my picture and said, "Who's this?" And she said, "That's one of my nieces, Grace." He said, "This is the woman I'm going to marry."
Oh my God, I love that.
Yes, a few months later. But if you ask him that story today, he goes, "That never happened."
Oh, wow.
She lied and made up the whole thing. That never happened. So it became a funny story in our family because he won't admit to it. But
of course,
40 years later, we're still holding it over his head.
Of course.
You just triggered a thought, because I was thinking like, funny or whatever. So when I first met my ex, I was 10 years old. We had just moved into a brand new development. And in the backyard, there was like this big dirt pile, right? And lots of people, who had recently built houses were taking dirt from that pile, and coming up from, Westchester into Rockland County at that time was very country. I walked out there like a little Mount Vernon girl I was, like, this is my property and that's my dirt. You have no permission to be here. So that was the first interaction of me being a little bossy with him. and, claiming my territory. Fast forward about 2 or 3 years, I was 13. He was walking up and down the block with his then girlfriend. I don't know who she was because I was still playing with Barbies and things like that. And I was like,
yeah, because there's a big age difference. Explain that there's
yeah, I
an
was
age
going to get
difference.
to that.
He's not dating at 10.
Right. I was going to get to that. And I'm looking at him going, I'm going to marry him someday. It was just intuitively,
Wow.
it was just intuitively in me. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to marry him one day. And I just sit there on my front steps and watch them, walk up and down the block hand in hand. But as Grace mentioned, I was very young and there's an 8-year difference between us. So we didn't start dating until I was like 15. But even then, he would come over to my house and visit. We'd all sit around the table and have coffee and tea and, all that every night. And he lived right across the street. So technically I married the boy next door.
Okay. So, I'm going to dive in deep to that because
Sure.
you know how universe gives us signs and signals long before we recognize them. Do you think, and I'm not being funny, but do you think that there was a sign in there that you met him for the first time on a pile of dirt? Not being funny, but
I know.
You had a lot of stuff.
I know.
Right? Is that a sign? I don't know.
Think about it.
That's the first thing that popped in my head. She met him on a pile of dirt, huh? A lot of dirty stuff was going to go on in that future.
Oh, that is so funny.
And it sounds like he was very familiar. And I always think some of the best loves are those their family. And I'm not sure why I think that, but you know exactly who they are and where they came from. Because like now in adult life, when we meet people, we only know the way people present themselves.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
That's a very important part of, and also not only do you know where people came from and how they were raised, their family and what you're going to be involved in too, because I believe you also marry a family if you're going to get married.
Absolutely.
It's a very difficult situation to say I can stay married to someone, I love them, but I'm not going to involve myself in the family. I think that's being naive. So
that's
but
naive.
that's an important
totally naive.
Yeah, that's definitely an important
funny story about a date.
Okay.
So I dated somebody from work, right? A social worker. And so picture this. I know the person, I know him. And so we go out one night, we had fun. The next night, another date, we go out and I showed up at the bar and he had our drinks poured out. And I said to him, Jim, sorry, but I have to throw this out because I didn't see the bartender pour it.
Good for you.
Now, we all grew up that way, right? But here you are as an adult still practicing what we grew up with, right?
No, but that's smart though, too, because you hear such crazy things today.
It was so silly. And he laughed and thought it was funny. So that was a good thing.
Oh, that is good. I was going to say, was he offended or?
Not at all.
No.
And the bartender was chuckling. So it was kind of funny.
It was funny, but also smart maneuver because you never know, right? He was around there. Yeah. And you didn't see that drink be poured. So
I know it's so
that's
crazy.
Just safe practice.
I'm still like that at this age. It's crazy.
Now, of course, but you have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be. So not to expose everybody's stuff, but I started with poor Gina with the dirt because we go back and we reflect on what we've been through to bring us through today. And Gina is currently divorced and she has had things in her life that she's had to work through. But when you think about all the things that you've had to learn, whether divorced, married, or single, what is the one thing that you think is needed to keep a relationship going? Back to like that one word that pops in your head. What
Grace,
do we want to do?
Can I just just so the audience knows, Gina did marry that guy.
Yeah. I said, and she's now divorced. That's why I said.
You said she got divorced, but I just wanted them to know that was the guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, hopefully they understood that when I said the dirt.
Okay.
Well, I said it that way. My ex-husband, when I first met him.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I did cover that.
I didn't get that. I just want to make sure everybody knew.
Yes.
My word is loyalty.
Loyalty. So the thing you think of with love, all the words that we said, all the things you think of, like what lesson has that taught you? Meaning if you went into a relationship with loyalty or with forgiveness or whatever, what lesson has that taught you to bring forward to today about applying that to all your relationships? Or maybe you didn't apply it till now. Maybe it's a lesson learned after all these years. What lesson came out of?
For me, I would say speaking my truth.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yep. I would say that was my biggest lesson.
Okay.
I think also paying attention to your gut, which is also relates to speaking your truth. Like there's sometimes you'll go out with people and you're like, oh, okay. And you kind of see a red flag-ish thing, but you're thinking it's pink at that time, you know?
Right.
And then you don't recognize it until you start dating for a while. And sometimes you like push it down because you're thinking, okay, maybe I'm a little too extreme or what have you. So I think I've learned to trust my gut and be more open also.
Right. So you're aware of the red flags more.
Always.
I think my lesson is that a relationship ending doesn't mean failure.
Absolutely not.
And in a relationship, in my relationship, I was the only one out of my immediate family, my 4 kids, that was going to go through a divorce. My siblings are still married to their partner. And that I stayed true to my marriage when I shouldn't have for too many years because I didn't want my children to be the only ones going to be divorced, have divorced parents. So, and I felt like that was a failure. You know, you take a vow, you stay true to that.
Right.
And I had to walk away. And I'm not a failure for doing it. I
Absolutely not.
That.
So
you know what I see it as, Pam? A victory.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
Exactly. Eventually,
It was strength.
yes.
It was
yes,
strength.
absolutely. Absolutely. But while you were going through that and deciding the reason that you would stay in that, do you think like what John said that you were ignoring red flags?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My biggest red flag, and it's something I'm going to share. We joke with it, and I'd say, I'm going to put this on your tombstone. Actions speak louder than words.
Yes.
And his actions were so different than his words.
Right.
And I now
big
know
one.
That's a big red flag. However, with that said, I have, since my divorce, dated a few, and that exact red flag showed up. But I thought, well, love will conquer. Love will take care of this. No, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. That's a red flag.
Right.
Period. I will not ignore it anymore. And consistency and honesty is non-negotiable anymore.
Why do you think we ignore the red flags?
For me, a lot of it was not feeling worthy enough, abandonment issues. Don't go, you know. It was a lot of this, a lot of fear-based. It's all fear-based.
Fear-based.
Yeah. So.
You know, abandonment issues, I could relate to that. However, what's interesting is I'm okay alone.
Yes.
But I don't like not being with someone. So I too, and I think again, it's the way where we grow up, we're brought up, we have those abandonment issues and they're strong. And it wasn't until I was 42, and I remember that, I don't know why, that I realized love is all around us. Not sound like a cliche.
No, it's so true.
It's not always the person you're with. It could be the people around you, the things around you, you know, your life, and just you.
Exactly.
Have to realize we're enough sometimes.
That's beautiful. Bravo. Right? That's what we try to accomplish for ourselves and bring out to the world, is that it's all about love. And loving yourself first is the key. And like you said, you can find that love anywhere you go if you're looking for it and you're projecting it first. But of course, everybody wants to share their life with someone. Nobody wants to be, alone most of the time. I understand that. And in my reflecting on that question while you're all talking, like, what did I learn? Because I'm married for 40 years, and this might sound funny, but it's the truth. What I learned is it's about compromise. That being married and being in a serious relationship is about compromising. The most important thing is that you compromise, that you're both comfortable and happy, and it's not about being right. And the minute we decide that we're going to be right over that, that's where I think we start to have an issue. And that, that wall starts to break down.
Okay. So Grace, with that said, what about infidelity? How do you compromise that?
I don't know. I'm not, I would never compromise infidelity.
Right.
No, I'm saying we have to know that each other has our back and that in life,
Right.
and in a relationship, there's a compromise of different things. It's not important to just be right all the time. It's to make your spouse happy as well as yourself happy. And I don't think someone's happy if there's infidelity.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, no,
No.
exactly. And so I think that's what I struggled with in my marriage, because
Right.
that's what my marriage consisted of. And, you tweak it and turn it and you say, okay, he's sorry. He's crying. He'll never do it again. And all of these things. And so you forgive, like
Yeah.
Gina was saying, you
Yeah.
forgive and you move on and you say, okay, it was a mistake,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
until that mistake keeps happening.
Right.
And it's, woo,
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
And that's where the
And-
tough part comes in, right? Because then you have to start reevaluating,
Mhm.
your life and, what you want out of life and that self-love and that self-respect,
Mhm.
right? Because I agree with you, Pam. I think, forgiveness, you work through things together, but you said it earlier, the actions did not match the words or the commitment, perhaps. And when you start to see that continuously break down, then you have to take a step back and reevaluate things. And sometimes I feel, and John, I'd love your perspective on this as well. Sometimes I feel, women have to fix everything, right?
Right.
We're that superhero in the
Mhm.
relationship, however it's defined, and we have to fix it. We have to make it work, because if we don't, Pam said it earlier, we feel like we failed.
failure.
Yeah, we feel like we failed.
And I have two things I want to say.
Mhm.
First thing is infidelity is rough, and it's rough on the person that's experiencing it, like being um, cheated on, for lack of better words.
Mhm.
And then we tend to blame ourselves, feel like it's us. It's not us, it's the person. Just remember, it's a choice. But sometimes I think, and the older I get, I think about this, sometimes people don't know how to use their words. For example, if somebody is missing something in a partnership, express it, talk to the
Communicate.
person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like if you think, and I know this sounds crazy, but if you're thinking about cheating, something's missing. So talk to your
Talk
partner
about
and
it.
it could be fixed
Yes.
Mhm.
potentially, right?
Yes.
But
And
then
the
you
minute
do,
you express that, the
right.
desire to do it just goes away.
Goes
You
away.
think about it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, yes, now, with that said, when something's missing, it's not necessarily in your partner that you're missing, that's missing,
No,
okay? It
no.
could be your own self-worth, so you feel
Absolutely.
you
Correct.
need to be stroked by multiple people or whatever,
Mhm.
so therefore
Correct.
you go
Right.
out of the marriage. Do you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Oh,
And that's
absolutely.
where therapy comes in.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we've been there.
And do you think all these points of view, whether it's, we're talking about infidelity or feeling insecure, do you think that's from us watching the relationships around us as we grew, meaning our parents, our aunts, uncles? Do you think it was instilled in us what a relationship is supposed to look like as we were
Yes.
growing up?
I think yes,
Mhm.
because my idea of a relationship when I was a kid is very different what I think now.
Mm.
Because when I was younger, I used to think like a fairy tale relationship. You meet someone, that person loves you through thick and thin. There's no problems. They love you forever, and you live happily ever after. Yeah, you may have some bumps, but you know what? What wasn't shown to us growing up was truth, because a lot
Mhm.
was hidden from us, as you all know,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
If you really dig back, like even some of our like people that we think are happy are not happy. It's a facade in front of us,
Right.
and
It's true.
that took me a long time to learn. So, but now, like at this age, and trust me, I'm no expert because I've had relationships that failed, but I feel like at this age, my expectations and my idealism is different. Like again, things that are important are
Right. Life
somebody that's
lessons
there
have
for
taught you
you,
that.
somebody that's kind, somebody that's loyal, and somebody that wants to be with you.
Right.
Right.
Right. So, John, having what you just said was very important, that maybe things were going on in your family or around you that were hidden because they
Absolutely.
thought maybe children shouldn't know this. So, Pam, let
Correct.
me ask you, or Gina, in going through a divorce or having these issues while you were married, do you think you were doing that to your children? Or you thought you were just, they shouldn't know about these things? Or were you honest with them? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you to answer.
Okay. Okay. So I'll say I grew up in a very unhealthy role model as far as my mom and dad goes. No, it was toxic. There wasn't
Me
love.
too.
It was very unhealthy.
Okay.
I vowed I wasn't going to do that. So I tried to hide. You can only hide just so much.
Mm-hmm.
What I think the main important key to my divorce was, and this is something my mom did, and I give her so much credit for, she never bashed my father. And she had every right to every single day. And she never did. And I vowed to never do that to my children about Bob. They didn't have to know whether or not he cheated. They didn't have to know, you know, my situation. They probably knew a little bit, but not really. But I always emphasized, he's your dad. He loves you. He's a great man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that to me is key in a divorce with children.
I so agree with you,
I
Pam.
respect that.
Yep,
Yeah.
me too, 100%. And I did the same. Growing up, like John said, we were sheltered from all of the stuff that was going on in the family, whether it was cousins, aunts, whoever it was like totally unheard of. And divorce was taboo. That was not even an option or spoken of traditionally. Uh, so when I was coming to that point, and I'll share this, I laughed because I had to have a tough conversation with my mother, and or at least I thought I did. And my father was already deceased, and I went to mom's and I sat down with her and I said, "Mom, I have to tell you something," and I had such a hard time speaking my truth. I mean, my knees were shaking, they were clanking together, my hands were shaking. And I said, "Mom, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it." She goes, "But why? What can't you do?" And I said, I can't stay married anymore. She goes, "Oh, it's about time you took off the rosy glasses, Gina."
See?
Right?
Do you see?
Wow.
Everybody around you probably saw it
Yeah.
except you.
Right.
She was so relieved for you for coming to that
That was
awareness.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Yep. And it wasn't that she loved us both dearly. She loved my ex like a son, truly. But there came a point, and and Pam, I'm sure with you as well, you don't just wake up one day and say, "Well, that's it, I'm done, I'm gonna
No,
get to work."
no.
This was years and years and years of trying and trying and trying, and it's like that little engine that could going up the hill. It's a nursery rhyme analogy, but you have that strength, and you're going to persevere, and you're going to fix everything. And sometimes it just doesn't happen, but it takes years, right? Because you want to make sure that you've done everything you possibly can with your partner to make it work, right?
And ultimately, what I fixed was myself, and that's all that matters.
Yes.
Exactly
Beautiful.
right. See?
Beautiful.
Bravo.
Yeah.
And to mirror off that, my parents were not happy. We grew up, it was more toxic. So I, from afar, like I saw other relationships that looked normal, but like my mother and father, like my father was leaving every other week, whatever. She was throwing his clothes on the lawn, and whatever. You'd come home and the stools broke. That's how it was. So, but in my head, I was still optimistic, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
And
And
that's
what
where
you
the
said
abandonment
before
comes
was
into.
important about how our upbringing
Mhm.
could either cloud us or bring out
Right.
the truth. Because I grew up in the perfect scenario, how my father put my mother on a pedestal. And I
Love
always thought, wow, this is what love is supposed to be. This is the
Beautiful.
perfect marriage. And when I married Anthony, he was, he's different.
that.
We I adore the man. He adores me, but we're very different. He was not one to bow down and put me on a pedestal. He's like, everything's equal. We work hard. We do this. And he came from a different background than me, where his parents did equal share of the work. And there was nobody who just sat on a throne and was put on that pedestal. So I had to understand that there's just differences in relationships, and not that means you love someone less. Because I was young, I was 19, and I was like, wait a minute, my dad wouldn't say that to my mom, or my mom didn't have to do that. He'd go, oh, well, this is the way it is. And it just took us understanding that we're from different backgrounds and growing together.
That's beautiful.
But it took a long time. When you get married at 19 and you think something's supposed to be a certain way, you will bat heads for many, many years. And we did. I mean, we're married 40 years, but a lot of that was learning and growing and understanding what worked for us.
Right.
And there's some days I still want to choke.
Beautiful. It's still beautiful, Grace, that you were able to see beyond, whatever just filtered out of his mouth. You knew the inside, and you respected it, and he too. And I think that's beautiful.
But it helped that he had a wonderful family that I was always exposed to and that I adored. And when I saw they were different, but they still loved each other and they still were interacted with their family different, I realized, okay, not every family is like mine. And not every family is, honky-dory and because my parents too, they didn't argue. They didn't fight in front of us. They didn't tell us anything. And my dad was just, my mom was the queen. And so were me and my sister, he raised women. But I went into it thinking that's how women should be treated and that's how I should be treated. And hadn't I experienced the beautiful relationship in his family, all loving, just very different, I wouldn't have learned. And I tell a funny story. When I came from a family where we used the bathroom, we locked the door. Okay, you knock, are you ready in there? We had 3 bathrooms, whatever. He came from a home with 6 kids in 1 bathroom. So when I came over for like the first time I met his family, his mom was like, I'm going to go take a shower, but I'll leave the door unlocked in case anyone has to use the bathroom. And I went, what? So I'm sitting there waiting. He goes, Grace, you can go in there. I go, I'm going to go to the bathroom while your mother's in the shower. And he goes,
that's
our
funny.
whole family's so used to that. She doesn't care. You won't see anything. The shower doors are closed. And I was like, no way, I'm not comfortable. But I realized his whole family just came and went and so comfortable with each other. And I was like, this is crazy. But that's how they showed their love. They were no shame in that house at all. And I came from, lock the door. And, so it was just totally different background. But that's how I learned. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have been so understanding of him being so different,
And that's funny because you just sparked something in me that I grew up differently. My dad didn't have respect. He could care less if he came home, if he didn't come home, and there was no cell phones and there was no pagers and there was none of that. So as a gambler that he was, we didn't see him for many, many days. No respect, just no respect. So, you grow up, and not even to us kids. So you grow up and you tolerate a lot because you just think that's kind of the norm.
Yeah.
And it's not,
That's what brings us back to what we said. It's what you see. It's what you learn. It's all you know. How do you know any different growing up? You're a kid. How do you know?
Right.
You don't know enough to look outside of your home at other relationships, maybe immediate family, but So that brings me to my next question. So what about love that you thought when you were younger or going through these years of being married and dating that you don't believe anymore?
I don't believe in forever.
Okay.
No, I don't either.
Okay. Ever? You don't think it's possible?
No. And you know what? It kind of makes me sad because that's not who I used to be.
Okay.
Like, I think you learn it as you go on. And then I would like to believe in a forever. But again, I think the forever is yourself.
I feel that too.
And it would be nice to have somebody else that entered you forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe that. Yeah, I don't believe that.
Do you think it's not possible? It's just very difficult today for people to say forever.
Well, I think today it's way complicated, as
Yes.
you guys know, like dating. There's too many apps. It's not like you could go out and meet somebody. It's apps, which I hate apps because I feel like it's the Sears catalog. You're picking people out, and it's kind of
At least you
unnerving.
didn't say Montgomery Wards, then you'd really be outdating yourself.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But I almost feel like it's a little disheartening, right?
Yeah.
And then I feel like people have venues to hide behind more so than when you meet them in person. And it's like, they could be whoever they want to be on these apps, and then whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like, have you experienced dating apps, any of you, that you can give us a story? Like, I know people have told me someone will put a picture of themselves when they were 25 and now they're 55, and then they meet them, they're like, wait a
90,
minute.
yeah,
no.
exactly.
No.
No?
I have no desire.
Okay.
No, it's horrible.
Yeah.
No, and I don't like them. And they're like, it's yeah, it is what it is. I believe in organic.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Organic meeting.
So because we're not believing in forever right now, we're talking about
At
what
the
do you
moment.
think is, at the moment, what do you think right now is the biggest thing that keeps the relationships from staying together, for looking for that forever? What is the biggest problem that we can't hold on to forever?
I think there's too many options, and it's too easy now for people to bow out of something. And there's like, it's a little bit too much of overstimulation.
That's a good point.
My opinion.
Right. So you don't think there's many people who view that they have to stay with someone, or they like to stay with someone because obligations are there, and then you work through the problems? Because sometimes it's an obligation that you say, hey, I made this commitment, I'm going to work through it, and then you find the solution. And if you don't, there's other options. But maybe, like you said, because it's so easy to find someone else, you're like, I don't have to stay here and work out this.
I'll go back on an app. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you ladies feel the same?
Yes, but I think what it is that sounds good in theory. We can find someone else. It's that they don't want to look in the mirror and take ownership of their
because
stuff. Okay.
Or commit.
Right.
And or do the inner healing that they need to do to show up and be present. A lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people don't want to be vulnerable and share, what is truly going on inside. And
but there's a whole another group of people who probably just love the thrill of dating and meeting new people and enjoying those relationships for what they are, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep. For what they bring, for the amount of time that they're in. Yeah.
And I respect that.
Yeah. Maybe not everybody's in it for forever.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's a good point, Jade.
right,
Very
but
good.
then state that. State that.
State that when you start dating someone.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, I think you should be honest if that's your
Absolutely.
intention, 100%. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
A lot of times they don't.
Okay.
Yeah. And do you think you just assume that, or they say it? Listen, or you just assume because you're dating for a certain amount of time, you're thinking, well, they want to be married or they want to be in a forever relationship. Has someone ever said that to you and didn't keep up to their end of the bargain? Or do you think maybe we just assume because the way relationships evolve?
I think it's both.
You know what? That's a great point, because I do that. I'm a self-sabotager.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I am. So it's like, if I think something, I'll just be like, okay, this isn't working, blah, whatever. But yeah, you're right.
So you're not really communicating, like you said earlier.
Communicating or miscommunicating, which is a big one for me. Because, again, sometimes it's a barrier to protect yourself.
Yes.
Where you feel like, oh, okay, I'm not going to get hurt, so I'm going to do this, and then it won't hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
But does that really work?
Never works.
Doesn't work.
Never.
Putting that wall up doesn't work, because we block in all the good as well as the bad. Right.
Yes.
So do we? Go ahead.
So one of the other things that's coming to mind, we're talking about relationships, and we're talking about, marriages, divorces, general dating. But what about widowed people? When, depending upon what stage they are in their life, right? I wonder I was always curious as to what it's like for widowed people to get back into that scene, whether there's, they were just with their spouse, or they're raising children, or their children are adults now. I've seen several different instances, and there's that love that second time around, and there's such that beautiful chemistry between people. And then, others maybe just don't want the relationship, and they just want that
Because they don't think they can
companionship.
find that again. I mean, in
Right.
experiences that I've seen or I've been involved with, meaning my
Mhm.
family,
Yeah.
I've noticed that sometimes it depends on the age that you've lost someone or the
Yes.
circumstances. When you lose someone when you're older and you've been with them 50 years, you can't even imagine moving forward with someone else. So,
Right.
but I have known people that were younger who have, like you said, found second love and moved on in their lives and they're very happy. And then I've seen people who just can't do it. They're like, I'll never feel like
Right.
I can commit to somebody else again. So it all, I guess,
And
depends
that's
on
okay too, right?
Right.
It's like it
Right.
depends on the person,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially if they met the love of their life, if you will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But hopefully they're out enjoying their life, even like Gina said, maybe dating and enjoying people's company. Because I hate to
Right.
think that someone just feels uncomfortable because or disrespectful to their lost loved one that they don't go
Right.
out, because that
Right.
could be a lonely world, you know. I mean, me and Gina know from firsthand that our moms have lost our dads many years.
Mhm.
Her mom was pretty young, right? How young was your
She
mom?
was 56.
Yeah, and it took her quite a long time before she would even consider, if you say dating, I don't really know, or going out with someone for dinner and all that. But my mom,
Yeah. No.
she was already late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, absolutely not. There's
Right.
nobody else for me. She wouldn't even think about it. And there are guys that used to say, hey, can I take you to, for lunch or coffee? Oh, no. I mean, she flirted and thought it was fun, but she would never. Her heart was with my father. Yeah, she'd go, oh, he asked me out for coffee.
And my two cousins are younger, like, and they're not interested in dating. Like my one cousin lost her husband in his 40s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
That's
and
so
that was
young.
hard, but never dated, like concentrated on raising the children. That was important. And
Yeah.
yeah. My father never dated. Thank God. I don't know how I could handle that.
Do you think that part of that is maybe the fear of getting hurt again, that you may lose somebody else?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
It could be, sure. That's a very good point.
Or that person was the one, if you will.
Yeah.
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 And sometimes,
I'm still optimistic.
yeah, there's guilt involved.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like
Sadly.
you're being
Sadly.
disrespectful to, I
Sadly.
think there's a whole
Because
bunch
I
of different
truly
things.
believe that our loved ones are feeling just the opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
Absolutely.
Just go have fun,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
we as humans don't see that.
Right.
So
Yeah. We want
yeah,
our,
no right or wrong. I'm not
yes.
judging.
Yes.
But
we as children or as family members want to see our parents or family, move forward and be happy, but
right.
they can't do it. I think it has a lot to do with fear. I really
think
do.
so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. It's painful. As we
Yeah.
all know,
Yeah.
we've all experienced losses and it's very painful. But I guess people don't balance that with what joy they can possibly have by sharing their life with someone else,
Right.
because that pain's so deep, that wall
Right.
goes up,
Yep.
Right.
Right.
Right. And it can, like Gina said, it could be just companionship. It doesn't have to be an intimate relationship. It could
Right,
just be
right,
fun
right.
companionship. Sure.
So I have another question. It's a little sideways from all this. Do you think the relationship you've had, romantic relationships, reflects on your other relationships, meaning how your relationship is, meaning whether you're married or dating, reflects out to your children, your brothers, your sisters, your coworkers, your friends? Or do you think they're totally different? Like as you're navigating a relationship, whether it's one that you're married and committed to, or in a relationship with someone that you're just navigating how they're going to work in your life, and do you want to be? Do you think that reflects on how you experience other relationships at that time? How you welcome in or not welcome in?
I would say no for me, because I think I was always the person that had friends that when they dated, you didn't see them. And I was never that person.
Okay.
Like I would always be inclusive, like, yeah, meet so-and-so. Like I was always like merging, if you will.
Okay. But what if the relationship you're in is maybe not so great and you are trying to figure out what's next, meaning problem wise? Do you think that would go into your other relationships and now you maybe don't want to be in your friend's company, or you're not able to tolerate different things you could tolerate before because your patience is thin, or your children are getting on your nerves, whatever?
And I think that would be like survival mode at that point, right? Because you're like treading water, if you will.
Yeah.
Like trying to make it work or figure out what's going on. So maybe, yes, like you'd probably distance yourself a bit.
And I remember like in high school,
Hmm.
and then we can fast forward to people maybe where if their parents are dating, how people would say, I don't like how you are when you're dating that person. You're different.
Oh,
You know,
interesting.
like I remember that in high school. Oh, I don't like you're not the same when you're with that person. And
Right,
you
right,
didn't even
right.
recognize it, but maybe their personality or what you're trying to balance in your relationship is kind of spilling out to everybody else. Has anybody ever been told that?
So I'm going to share something. So
Yeah.
in my most recent relationship, and I would think that at my age, I would be able to just be open and honest. When I was falling, and I was falling deep, and when the red flags were there, I zipped my mouth shut. To you, Grace,
Yeah.
to my family, my friends, I hid it
Hmm.
because if I shared it, they'd say, get out and get out now. And I didn't want to.
Okay.
I didn't want to. So I stayed and I stayed and I tweaked it and I this and I that and I hid and I hid and I hid until I couldn't hide it any longer. And yeah. So
That,
I think, we tend to,
Yeah.
conform or whatever to that certain person or whatever, and not true. At least in my case, I wasn't
Right.
true to myself.
And if you're hiding something, you're hiding a lot
I
about
hid it
you.
because I
Right.
didn't
And
want to
it
be
shows.
told, "What are you doing? You doing this again? Are you kidding me? Did you learn from the first time?" I didn't want to hear anything. I just wanted it to go away.
Right. Because out of love, we would all say that. Right.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I'm a little opposite because I'm more like a people pleaser. That's my personality. And I think it's on every level. And maybe even if I saw that red flag and I hid it from family or friends and loved ones, it was to protect them and myself in a strange way.
Now, how would it protect them? I'm curious. Give me an
Because,
insight.
I think part of it is once they get that dialogue where you're doing this again, you have to get out. It's like, to me, that's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially when we haven't figured it out yet,
Right.
it becomes very overwhelming. And then in the back of my head, I never want somebody to hate the person I was with.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right. Because
Exactly.
then when they see them, the feelings are never the same.
They're never
And
the same.
it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
But
So yeah, so
it's
I
fact.
think
It's
I'm
true.
very cautious
Yep.
about
Exactly what I was.
right.
It's exactly.
And it's a
what I was.
protective mechanism, I think.
Absolutely.
And why
Right.
do you think it's so important for your friends and family to think one way or another about someone that you are no longer with, or you're deciding about ending a relationship? Why is that so important?
I think for me personally, it's because I wanted to own that narrative. Meaning, if
Mhm.
I was going through a difficult time with somebody and I confide in a family member and they're like, oh, just get rid of him. There's red flags, da, da, da,
Right.
da. And it's like, well, wait a minute. That's my decision. I own that. I appreciate it's coming from a place of love, but I own that at the end of the day. Right.
Right.
So when,
Right.
like John, when I was going through my divorce, very few people, I could count on one hand how
Yeah.
many people knew. And I
Right.
did that for a reason. And some of those reasons, we're talking about here this evening.
Right.
And at work, till this day, a lot of people don't even know I'm divorced. It's not something I shared. It's nobody's business, quite frankly. I am who I am. That business relationship, that friendship, whatever my circle is, personally or professionally, it shouldn't change. Where I did feel a huge, stab in the heart was going to church. Right?
Ooh, you're
Because
cutting into my next question, but go ahead.
oh, all right, I'm going to pause there.
But I want you to answer my question because
Yeah.
maybe we got sidetracked. Why is it so important for you to protect that other person once you decide?
Because we don't want them to feel uncomfortable, especially if you do work it out or
Because there's a chance that you might get back together.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
got you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not
Or-
100%
and you
sure
don't
this
want
relationship's
people to have
over.
ill feelings.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the other thing too is, one is protection, and two, the person who you're separating from or breaking up with, you know, you don't want the relationship between their relationship with other people to be tainted,
Correct.
Okay.
because that's unfair.
Mhm.
That's very high school when you think about it.
It
Like,
is.
Yeah.
I'm breaking up
Right.
with
Yeah.
so-and-so, so you
Yeah.
can't talk to them
You can't
anymore.
talk
Right.
to
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And
I
Exactly.
love that.
yeah, and
But
I
that's
don't.
just the natural progression of what would happen because people can't be in your life and theirs as well, on an everyday basis. Of
Mhm.
course, people would be courteous, but that can't be.
Right.
For your healing and your moving forward, you can't have that other person
Well, and
constantly.
it depends on the circumstances as
True.
well.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
if you were friends with the person and the relationship ends, I
Mhm.
mean that stays. I mean,
Right.
that's not lost. It's
Right.
different when there's hurt and betrayal and distrust.
Yeah.
That makes a big
Yes,
difference.
that is true. That is a
Yep.
good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you don't have to hide anything.
So my question that I was going to ask you, when you brought up church, is there anything like your identity, meaning you're a Eucharist minister, or Pam, you're an energy healer, John, you're a nurse, or what our sexual orientation is? Do you think there's a stigma around that as we proceed forward, meaning entering relationships, leaving relationships? Do you think people put a stigma on us, or do we just feel there is one? Let
Both.
me start with you because you started with church.
Yeah, I would say both.
Okay.
I see it in both respects. Even maybe your married friends. Oh, she's divorced now.
Mm.
We'll keep her away.
Mm.
Even widows have that same
Mhm.
stigma, right, as
Right.
divorcees.
Wow.
But
Divorcees, as my aunt would say. You don't hang out with her. She's a divorcee.
but getting back to church, I remember I was in church one day. I had just gotten divorced and I didn't go up to communion, and it killed me. I felt, I felt
Wow.
like as much as I wanted to belong, the church would oust me. And I had a very hard time with that I stopped going to church for many years
I remember.
because, I was told I don't belong. You can't
Mhm.
receive communion. Da, 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 da. The only way to be forgiven is an annulment. And I'm thinking, I don't want an annulment. I had two beautiful children with this man. We had a relationship for over 30 years between dating and marriage.
But what's the annulment for? Just so you can get married in church again? That's what that would mean,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. But to dissolve the marriage in the church's eyes, whether you're getting married or not.
Right, because it costs you a lot of money.
Your
Well,
feet.
I'm not going down that path.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I went, there was a time where
Wow.
I went to reconciliation, and I
Mhm.
spoke with the priest, and he said, absolutely not. He
Mhm.
says, you are welcome here anytime. You
That's
can
wonderful.
receive communion. And my whole world just turned around, and the rest is history for me, in terms of, being accepted again.
Okay.
I love that, Gina, because
Thanks, John.
because I am very spiritual.
Mhm.
I believe in God. All that. Raised Catholic, love the Catholic Church. However, the Catholic Church's teachings are very clear about being gay in the Catholic
Mhm.
Church. Like, you could be gay, but you can't act upon it,
Right.
which I never understood. Which,
Right.
it's kind of like
You
saying we
shouldn't.
welcome everyone, but you
Right.
really don't, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's why, even though I love the Catholic religion, have
Mm-hmm.
my rosary beads, all that, I go to a Lutheran church
Mm-hmm.
because they're very open and they're more accepting, and
Accepting.
everyone is truly welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that
Yeah, and like you said, I'm accepted, but if I wanted to get married again, well, I can't get married
You
it's
in
can
the
the church.
physically
same.
exist in
It,
that pew, is what they're telling you.
it's
It's
the
just don't
Correct.
same
act out
thing.
on. Yes.
Correct.
It's the same thing.
It's the same
Yes.
thing as
It's
John.
the
That's
same
right.
feeling because you feel like you belong, but it's a pseudo belonging because
Mm.
if you wanted to take advantage of the sacraments, you could not,
No. No.
which is unfortunate. And
Yeah.
but I still respect it, and And, you know, when I was in New York, I was very fortunate with the Polish Fathers. Like they had a group that was a gay group, and they were very open. They were more progressive, like Jesuits, and everyone was welcome. We had a group. We did a lot of community work. It was very visible, but that's few and far between, as you know.
Yes. Yep. No,
So
I
Gina,
appreciate.
being divorced, is that the only thing that you are not able to continue to do in the church is get married? Because obviously you can receive sacraments. You're a Eucharistic
Yes.
minister.
Yes.
So they are accepting. So the old
Mhm.
school ways are
Yeah.
beyond. So at least they
Yep.
have
No,
gone
no,
a
they're
little
getting
progressive,
better
right?
They're
because
getting,
Okay.
yeah, agreed. They're getting better because even when I was interviewed to become a Eucharistic minister, I had that conversation. I'm the one who brought it up.
Mm.
good.
And they just embraced me wholeheartedly. And, you know, the parish that I belong to, I mean, for me, it's just home. It is home.
Nice.
Even though I know as a Catholic, I cannot get married in the church, I'm okay with that because I know what I would have to do if I were in that position.
Mhm.
But just knowing that, like you said, John, you exist, but you not
Mm.
really.
You do, and you make a difference. But I guess, you know, what if you were 20 years younger? Would you feel the same, not having the option of getting remarried?
Probably not.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Point.
It would be that important for you to get married in the Catholic Church again.
Right.
100%. What you're
100%.
saying? Okay.
And it's still important to me today. So I know I would have to go through with an annulment if, if that,
Hmm.
if I was in that position where I was
Right.
getting married again. It's very important for me to be
Mhm.
married, in the church because
Hmm.
that's important to me, that my heart. So my hand would be forced to get that annulment.
All right. So let me ask you this. Actually, I don't really know what annulment is, meaning what they do. You basically, as far as I know, because I know someone that tried to get an annulment, you fill out papers. It's a little bit of, like a survey and questions, maybe a little journaling about what you've been through, and you pay a large fee and you're
Mhm.
annulled. So that makes you comfortable to say, I want to do this again in the church. Like I, I
So,
wouldn't
so
want,
you're
I mean, for me, I wouldn't want to be married in the church again if I was already told I can't unless I pay this fee. I don't know. Just why is it so important to you to get
it's
married in the
important to me.
physical Catholic Church?
It's not the physicality of it, it's the
It's the
Because
spirituality
you
of
can
it.
be, you
tradition.
can get married out under the sun with, a
No,
minister or anything
no,
else.
no.
No?
See, I understand where Gina is coming from
Okay.
because even if I go to another church, my heart is still with the Catholic Church. And I don't know if
Because the
it's
way you're
because
raised.
it's the way I was raised. And
Yeah,
we were raised Italian Catholic, so
absolutely.
very different than Irish, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
So it wasn't strict, but yeah, and it was like cafeteria. Like my grandmother used to say, you could go in the bathroom and confess, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So that was different, but there's still that tradition that I hold on to and respect.
Right.
And
And
that
and I
connection with
feel
God, you
that
know?
probably tradition in general is very important to you, John, to say that
Yes.
because
Yes.
being as spiritual as you are and saying that
Right.
love is all around you,
Yes.
you don't need to be in the physical church to feel that love,
Correct.
especially with someone
But I
else.
w-
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I will say this, and I still do once in a while go to a Catholic mass, and
Hmm.
it brings me to tears always. It's very emotional,
Yeah.
and I don't know why,
It's
but it
symbolic for
is.
you. Yeah, it's
It's
Mhm.
symbolic.
symbolic.
Yep.
I was an altar boy, all that stuff.
Yeah. So
John,
it's
I'm
Mm.
part
just
of who you
curious.
are.
John, I'm just curious. Do you think it brings you to tears because there's an element of rejection from the
No,
Catholic religion?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't feel rejected because I don't feel like our God is a rejecting God.
He's
Mhm.
But
not.
the
But where you
tears
worship is.
Right.
but the tears come from the overpowering feeling of God.
Yes.
I
Yes.
can't explain it. It's
Right.
like,
I
and
get
it
it.
doesn't happen every time, but when I go to that mass and when I'm there, it is such an overwhelming emotional experience
Mm.
that tears start running. And it depends on the music,
Yes.
depends on the people, depends on the priest. but sometimes that emotion just comes flying through.
I can respect that.
You
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
that, Gina, right?
Absolutely. But
it's like you're walking in my shoes, or I'm walking.
But what I'm trying to say is, I do you think it's more of an attachment to your upbringing and all that you know? Because I can pray like that at home and be
Mhm.
brought to tears. I
Mhm.
can pray, I feel God all around me and I can be brought to
Yes.
tears. Depends
Okay,
what I'm praying about. I don't need to be in church, but I do enjoy church because it's
Right.
what I was accustomed to growing up.
Mhm.
So it's a familiarity, well, the word, but I don't need to be there to feel it, I guess.
I
is what
love
I'm saying.
being there, but I'm going to share this with you. And this brought me to my knees. So there was a church here I went to, and this priest he is unique. You could see the love of Christ in him. Um, when they were singing hymns, he would turn around and sing to the cross.
Mm,
Oh,
And
how
to me, that was
beautiful.
very powerful.
mm,
Yes. It's almost like you said, yeah, and I agree with everything that you're both saying, right? Because you're right, Grace and Pam. You know, God is universal. You can
Mhm.
be anywhere
mhm.
and be in his presence and feel him and be moved. Um, but we also get that same fulfillment, if not maybe a little bit more, being in God's house. Welcome to God's house,
Right.
right? We could take that. I could be sitting here. I'm in God's house.
But God's house is
But
not God. And
Correct.
God did
right.
not reject you. His house
No.
did. The people that
Correct.
worship his
Correct.
house. So that's
Correct.
the part I mean. But I get
Yeah.
the attachment to that.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's the tradition and the
yeah, it's probably
symbolism.
that's what it is.
But
Mm-hmm.
I will say, like, yes, at home I pray. I have my rosaries and all
Mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm.
But I will say, and this, so there was a point of time that I was away from the church, right? Because when I was younger, and then one day, like after my mother died 19 years ago, and one day, and I would always go to church on her birthday and on her death day, and like candles, flower, whatever. Um, and there was this one time I got pulled into the church, and this was in New York, and I got pulled back in. It was like I can't explain that feeling, and ever since then, you don't lose that feeling.
Right.
I was pulled in.
Maybe that
Mm-hmm.
was your mom
It was
pulling
my
you in.
mom.
She's
Yeah, of
always
course.
around you. She's so strong in your
She
life.
knew.
Yeah.
She knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Pam, I wanted to ask you, I want to get back on the topic. Do
Mhm.
you ever feel that someone, or maybe has someone ever said this to you, that you're an energy healer and you speak about God and surrounding and love? Does anybody ever shocked that you are divorced, having that kind of background in energy healing your whole life and now a business in it? Is
I've
anyone ever
ne-
shocked when you say that?
I've never experienced that. No.
Okay. Because they would
No.
think, well, why can't you fix everything?
Yeah.
You
No.
know? No?
No. No. I've never experienced that at all. Never.
So you've never
And
experienced the
yeah.
prejudice. Okay.
No. Mm-mm. No. Not at
Okay.
all.
Because I get the opposite. I'll get someone who might say, oh, well, you're an energy healer and you're married 40 years. So I guess you were lucky. It's all figured
Yeah.
out for you. And I'm like, hello.
No.
Why do you think I became an energy healer? This is a
No.
lot of work.
I think actually, if anything else, because when people come to me for Reiki, it could be medically, but it's also more emotional.
Oh, yeah.
And I can relate to them because I've been there, done that, and had a lot of, maybe
Mm.
relationship issues. And a lot of times that's what people come to. So, no, I don't get judged for it. If anything, it's like, yeah, you get it. You understand. You're right.
Okay, good. That's
You know?
good. Because you share your experiences.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's important. That's connection.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Do we believe in soulmates or do we create our own love?
I do.
Yeah, I
You
do
do
too.
believe in soulmates? I believe we have multiple
Yeah,
soulmates
I agree with that too.
in
And it may not be
all
the
relationships.
person
It's
you
not
love.
just a partner. Yeah,
Right. Right.
you're my soulmate. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like, come on, all of you. It's like, I absolutely.
Well,
I
I guess
agree
what I
with
mean
that.
is, do you think people wait for that connection or do you create love? You meet someone and you have the give and take, you have the compromise, you have the patience, and that creates the love. Or do we wait for that spark? This is my soulmate. I know it.
I think it's a spark.
It's
Yeah.
a spark,
Yeah.
and I also think that, like Pam said, soulmates come in different forms.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come from a place of love, you're radiating that out. So it could just be a random person on the street that you connect with because of a simple acknowledgement. You smile at them as you're passing them by. Right. Or somebody in line strikes up a conversation with you, Grace.
Right.
That happens too often. And you're radiating that love to them. You're not necessarily their soulmate per se.
Right.
But
Right.
I feel that does radiate.
So is that like similar to love at first sight?
Could be.
It could be. Sometimes I feel like I can meet somebody, I'm like, oh my God, we spent another lifetime together. It's just
instantly connect.
Unbelievable.
I totally believe in that.
Quick, powerful connection. And it can come and go, but I'm like, oh, you were in my past life.
I believe in that.
I do. I totally do.
Me too.
Totally do.
But how do you decipher at that point if they're in your life for a relationship or for a lesson? That's why that strong attachment, sometimes we got to take a look at.
I think no matter who it is, whether it's your children, your friend, your mother, father, I don't care who it is, best friend, we're all here for lessons. Everything is a lesson. Everything is a teachable moment. Everything. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Hands down.
And we have to welcome the lessons.
Absolutely. Oh my God. That's what our whole life is.
Yeah.
Series of lessons.
Speaking of lessons and relationship, I just want to say this. Probably my biggest takeaway that I've just recently, it was an aha moment for me, is when relationships would end and I would give it my all. Takes two, I get it. I'm not trying to say, oh, I did everything perfect. But when they would come back in tears, I, as a feeler and very sensitive, would always feel so bad for them because they would say, why are you leaving me? Why are you doing this? And I would carry so much pain and so much guilt and my heart would be so heavy when really those tears are their tears for themselves for showing up the way they did, but they're going to make it about the other person.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I had to finally go, wait a second.
Right. It's confusing.
Pull that back and stand into your truth. As painful as this is a huge lesson for me, guys. Okay? Huge.
I know. I know.
To say, disconnect. Try not, and disconnect out of love. Send that person so much love. But do not absorb it. It is not yours to absorb.
Because there's a reason that you walked away. You have to remember that. If you walked away or they walked away, you've come to terms that why that relationship ended. And because someone is crying because they miss you and they will miss you, doesn't change the facts that are still there, why you parted. So you have to, when you're in the emotional state, it's hard to think of the logical part, but.
Yeah. And we have to remember too, like a lot of people, it's habitual, right?
Yes.
And then when that piece is missing for them or the routine.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes it's not the person.
That's
it's
true.
the habit.
Yes.
That's a very good point.
Absolutely. It's a very good point, John.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yep.
We are just so used to that pattern.
You know, we love our routines. You have your coffee in the morning, you do this, you do that, you depend on this. And then when it's gone, you miss it.
Yeah.
No matter what it was.
Yeah.
Right?
Or is.
Yeah. Even if it was healthy or not healthy, it doesn't.
Yes. It's something different. Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it could be unhealthy and healthy at the same time.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think society around us puts pressure on us what a healthy relationship should look like? You think it's hard for us to be in good relationships, everyone, because there is a societal take on what healthy looks like?
You know, it's funny you say that. I was thinking about, this a while ago because I think the definition of relationships has changed over the years. And you see it in our media, you see it in TV shows, you see polyamorous, you see all these new ideas that we would have never thought up when we were younger. And I'm thinking, wow, that's interesting. Or my 10 wives or my 2 husbands.
All the reality shows that we have to keep up with. It's true.
It's like a lot, but you know what? Is it wrong? No, because if it works for them, that's beautiful, but it may not be for us. But if they're happy and it works, I guess it's okay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we've had this conversation about life in general. It's all perspective, right?
Exactly.
There's really not that many, there's not any facts if you want to really dive into that word. I constantly have this conversation with my husband, but I won't go there. there's
Right.
really, if you think about it, there's not really facts. It's just all people's perceptions. And if you get a lot of people in the same room with the same perception, that becomes a fact.
Yep.
That's really how facts are formed. But we can all look at something different and see a totally different scenario. And that's our perspective. So yeah, you're right, John. That's a very good point. It's not
And
right, wrong. It's just, it's different.
It's what it is. And you know
Yeah.
what? I respect that because, you know, like I said, it works for them. And
Yeah.
and there's probably positives to everything as long as people are happy and enjoying.
Exactly. You're in a healthy, fulfilling relationship.
and
that's all
enjoy.
about- yeah.
Joy.
Exactly.
That's a big word of mine. I use that word a lot, and I'm always
Yes.
on the quest for joy.
Yes.
One day I will find it. I'm
Mhm.
convinced. And
You
but
already
it's a
found it. I can
powerful
see it all
word.
over your face,
He's
John.
found
Yeah.
it
That
many
joy is
times. And like he said, he
inside-
found
you-
love all
you
around
no-
him.
Right.
do nothing but
right.
emanate joy. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
Oh,
I agree.
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Look in the mirror, you'll find it right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
You give us joy.
You
Yeah.
That's
do,
what my
John.
promo said.
Always.
From the
It's
day
just
I
the
met
joy.
Talk
you.
about.
And I met you
Always.
at a rough time in my life.
That's
and
true. Do you see how this always comes full circle?
See, and I
Yeah.
didn't even know that. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Mm.
We find
When I
out
met
every
you.
show kind of comes full circle to mention Gina. And here she is
Yeah.
again, because we said she wants us to mention her because she'd
Yeah.
be right on here with us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. That's how you guys met.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's true.
That's right.
It's
It's
true.
toughest time.
That's how we all met.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gina, I met you before that.
No,
Well,
no,
yeah.
no.
With
Oh.
Pam,
That's
with
how-
Pam. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
with
like
Pam.
Pam,
Yeah.
Grace,
And
and I
Gina.
met through Gina.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
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 So let me ask you this. So with all the, like you said, there's sometimes relationships go wrong, but then you hope to work on it and maybe get back. What are some of the things that you have done to rebuild a relationship to make it healthy? Or is it just futile? I mean, what are some ideas that you have done to rebuild a relationship that you thought couldn't be saved? Or have you?
Okay, so I myself have just not listened to that inner voice that says walk away, and I've taken them back.
Okay.
Has it worked? I can honestly say no, because things didn't change. You know, it was very
Right.
short-lived. I could say that in my marriage. Yes.
What
it was
kind of things
good.
did you try? I know you said therapy, like different thing. What did you try?
We did. We tried couples therapy. We did and I was very against it at first. It's imago therapy because I thought I'm not doing this. But imago therapy is really powerful work.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, in imago therapy, you have to. So, if I'm speaking and I say something to my partner, okay, before he can speak, say a word, he has to say. So, if I'm hearing you correctly, you said da 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 da. Okay.
I love that.
So what happens is you're not sitting there trying to formulate what you're going to say next,
Right.
because you really have to listen to what your partner just said because you have to repeat it back. So it really takes you in serious present moment. It takes you really to not only see that person, but you I mean, hear that person, but you see them, you feel them. It's amazing. And when I went into that session, it was a long weekend retreat. I'm not gonna lie, I went like this. I sat. There was like 200 people at this workshop, and I was like this isn't gonna, like, I was very adamant. I've had it.
Okay.
To the end of the weekend, feeling like I just met my husband for the first time.
Oh, wow.
I
That's
was
nice.
totally beyond in love. You know, it was
Aw.
very powerful, and it can work. But if you fall back into that pattern, which sadly he did,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I'm not going to wait for, female number 25 before I walk out. No,
Right.
No, agree.
that's what it did. No more.
So part of that is not understanding, communicating properly, not listening, like you said. What do we think about the 5 love languages that people,
Love that. I love
yeah,
that.
that if we are more in tune with each other before maybe we move further into a serious relationship like marriage, and if we understand how each other perceives love, how do you think that would change the way our relationship moves forward?
I think it would.
Yeah, because
I
there's
do too.
there. I don't know all the 5 off the top of my head. Does anybody know the acts of
Yeah,
service?
I think I'm a task. Like I'm like action. Like I need
Okay.
actions. And although words are
me
nice,
see if I
but
could-
I'm
Right.
more like an
Words of
action person.
affirmation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have the book actually.
Acts of
Yay.
service,
Yeah.
words of affirmation,
Yeah,
gifts,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm more service, like
quality
Yeah, so-
time,
yeah.
make the bed or wash the dishes or,
Right.
you
and
know,
physical
like,
touch.
Mhm.
Yeah. So do you think if you communicate those 5 love languages when you're getting to know someone, that would be a really big eye-opening to, how you're going to perceive each other? And there we kind of are battling that
Absolutely.
communication
mhm,
barrier,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
agree.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
And again, they can't be just words. It's actions speak louder than words. So
Yep.
you can say this is, my love language, or this is what
But you're right. You
that
have to live
partner
it.
is not,
Yeah.
connected
Yeah.
with you in that way, then,
But
that's a
I'll,
red flag. That's
I remember many years ago when I first learned of the love languages, it made sense to me because me and Anthony have 2 totally different love languages of what was
Right.
important to us. And we started to understand what meant, what meant more to each other. And we started to try to use those things, or at least talk about, I think his was affirmations or whatever. It's like, hey, hon, you never tell me I did a good job. If he fixed the
that's a good
toilet
one.
bowl or whatever.
Yeah,
And
right.
you don't think of things like that, but he works hard and he wanted to know that I acknowledged it.
right.
Hey, Grace, I just fixed the toilet bowl. Come and look at it. I would joke about it, but it meant a lot to him. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a really, really important part of relationships that
Right.
we need to talk about more is the love languages.
And I also think what somebody said earlier, and it was Grace, I think compromise is really important.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
finding out
Mhm.
what works as a couple. Like
Mhm.
Right.
you may not love going to a ball game, but you'll do it, that kind of thing, because
Right.
that's really important.
Right.
And I also think if both partners can really understand that vulnerability is strength.
Oh,
Mm.
If you
Mhm.
really can embody that,
Mhm.
you can be more and more vulnerable. A lot of times people think vulnerability, you're weak. It's not. It's
No.
just the
not.
opposite.
It's willing to be open and share. Yes, I agree.
Absolutely. And how beautiful and brilliant that is. But-
And a lot of
And-
times that's based on our fear that we're afraid that would be
Right.
taken advantage of,
absolutely.
So you keep
or
it
to
ego
yourself.
or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I personally find vulnerability attractive.
Hmm.
Oh, I
Because
just too.
I just
I
feel
do
that,
too.
the person is core, they're true, they're comfortable putting themselves out there versus a facade.
Okay. But let me ask you, are you comfortable being vulnerable?
I am.
Are you? Because I
I
don't know if
am.
I would be honest to say that I am.
No,
I am.
me neither.
I don't know about that.
No, I mean, I
And-
have been.
Yeah.
I've been put in those situations, both, again, personally and professionally. And, yes, it is uncomfortable. When I am uncomfortable, I ask myself, why am I uncomfortable?
Mm.
And what can I learn about it? What fear is making me feel uncomfortable, right?
So I have been uncomfortable, but that hasn't in the past, and I could tell you that for a fact, stopped me from being vulnerable.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
I
beautiful.
would have to
Uncomfortable
feel
feeling.
safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
It's uncomfortable,
Yes.
but I've done it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Done it
Okay.
anyway.
Yeah.
Safety.
I think
Yeah.
that's a key ingredient, safety.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think that, what's attractive to me, it sounds crazy, but if somebody is vulnerable first,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Gina
Yeah.
had
then
said
I
that.
could
That's very
understand that.
attractive to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then
Yeah.
you could like open up. Like it's hard for me to open up to someone, especially as you're getting to know them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think maybe when you first meet someone and they are very vulnerable and they open up to you, that you would think, oh my God, they're so sensitive. I better
Yeah, I
watch
would think
everything I
that.
say.
I do think that because
See, I would
I'm
be
a little
that
bit
way.
the other
Mhm.
extreme.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a little bit hardcore that way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But
Yeah.
But I think sometimes when somebody, like you said, can be first vulnerable, for me, that's where I feel safe. That's where I feel safe. And not feeling safe has been a major issue
Safety is
Yeah.
in
huge.
Yeah.
all my relationships.
Yeah.
I've
Secure,
never
yeah.
truly felt, still to this day, never truly felt safe.
Me too. Same.
Mhm.
Ditto.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you say safe, what I feel is the core of a good relationship. We said compromise, but just putting it simply, knowing someone always has your back.
You got
Is
it.
that what you
That's
mean by
exactly
feeling
right.
safe?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, that
Yep.
I can be who I am whenever I want to be. If I, and just know that I'm not going to be judged by it or criticized for
Right.
it. Or you have my back.
Right.
You have my back. It's true
That's
love.
exactly right.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
big one for me.
And
Me too.
but that's really interesting because the relationship that I'm in now, I will get accused of not having their back on certain topics. No, listen, hey.
Yeah, no, let's be honest. It's true.
To be honest about it. And I always say, look, I do have your back, and I'm telling you the truth. You're wrong, right? Or
Mhm.
approach it,
But that's not having someone's back by saying you're wrong.
well, or guiding them and coaching them to maybe approach something in a different way.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, why can't you ever agree with me? Because I feel that, there are other options that you can pursue. What do you want me to yes you to death and lie and say, oh yeah,
But are
yeah.
you open to listening to the rationale?
If it's provided to me in a truthful way, yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
But what you think is rational may be very different than what he thinks is rational. So
Correct.
when
That's
you
very
say you
true.
have someone's back at the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
really trying to understand where they're coming from, even though you don't agree or understand.
Right.
So if you're going to tell someone you're wrong and you should do it this way, that's not having your back. You have to say, listen, hon, I want to guide you this way because blah, blah, blah. But the minute you say you're wrong,
Yeah.
that went away.
Oh yeah, it went away. Yeah.
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 Well, because that's like stopping someone in their tracks.
Yeah. And letting
Right.
them think that you're saying you know better than them. And everybody gets defensive when you say that.
Like
So-
you put the brakes on them.
Yeah, people just want to be understood for what there's a reason that conversation comes up between you two, whatever it's about. And I guess maybe if you don't say you're wrong and you just say, hey, listen, let's explore it a little differently, or you might
Tell
be
me how you're really feeling. Let's discuss this. That would be the perfect world, but none of us are perfect.
Right.
So
Right.
without everybody getting their feelings hurt, right?
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
So if we had to each say one takeaway
Mhm.
of how we would give our audience and our listeners some advice on how to approach a healthy relationship, what would be the one thing that you'd say? I mean, we probably touched upon that a little bit as we were talking, but
I would say hopeful and openness to find joy, because that's key. You have to be open and recognize, because when I look back in my past too, I think you push people away without even knowing it, but
yeah.
you have to be open to a person and creating a life and finding joy.
Yeah.
Okay, I could agree more with you, John. And yet, as you were speaking, kept going in my head, boundaries.
Oh, I have a lot of boundaries.
Okay, and it's like crazy because had I had boundaries, healthy boundaries in place, my relationships wouldn't have dragged out as long as they were. I would have,
Yeah, but you forget what fix is, right? We always feel like we could fix things. And that's why we end up like that. And we feel like not the person, you're not fixing the person, but you're fixing the situation. And I think a lot of us strive on that.
Yes, and I'm going to be very honest here. My value, I felt, was if I could fix it or if I stayed and I loved, then I'm an important person and I'll be valued. You know what I mean?
Right.
Somebody
Because
good
you
and
fixed
somebody worth
this.
it.
Absolutely.
Which is BS at its finest. That is my own crap, my own garbage, my own low self-esteem, my own, no. But again, that was my worth,
And I think the word boundary is very important because not just in a romantic relationship, in any relationship, as we've talked about many times, it's very important to be there for your partner, be there for your friends, be there for your family, and do what they need, but never at the expense of yourself.
Absolutely.
Never at the expense of who you are.
I
So
agree.
that's where the safe boundaries and the comfortable boundaries for us come in.
Mm-hmm.
But not boundaries maybe with our emotions when we're trying to understand, like John said, openness. But yeah, the boundaries are very, very important.
Yep.
So important.
Yeah. And that's interesting because my response was going to be know your value.
Know your value.
Know
Okay.
your value.
Well, yes, and mine is similar. If I had to tell one thing to tell everybody how you can move forward in a healthy, happy relationship is go within and be happy with who you are. Because whatever peace and love you find here, bring out to the world. And we can't be happy in any relationship in front of us if we're not happy with who we have in here.
Yep.
So,
All right.
Agree.
I totally agree. It's yeah. Relationship with your family, with your friends, with anything.
everything starts with us.
Anything, absolutely.
And what's the connection of all of that is love. We always come back
Love.
to love. And if we love ourselves,
Has
we
to be
become
love.
love and we admit
Right.
love and we attract love.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Absolutely.
this was a very interesting evening.
Yes.
I thank you all for
fun.
being so vulnerable and sharing.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from all of you as always.
Thank you.
So, and I'm glad for the
I've
final
learned too.
takeaways that we all had something different to share. And I hope our listeners can learn from our experiences and we can learn from theirs as they start to communicate with us back and forth on our comments and like and subscribe our channel. But before we say goodnight, as always, I like to remind ourselves and our audience, before we speak out in the world, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Think about it.
You got
Till
it.
next time. Good night.
Great. Love
Good
y'all.
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye-bye.